Hello, Dental Team listeners. This is Kiera, and today's an awesome day. I'm so excited. We have the one and only truffle hunting Kristy on the podcast today. I call her the truffle hunter because she finds all the money in the practices. Like, Kristy, I don't know if you looked at the stats, but you are rivaling me on the amount of production you're bringing into practices, which I think is a huge shout out to you. Kristy's one of our incredible consultants. So, Kristy, with that intro, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, of course. I feel like I need to get like a good nickname for you. So I've been like picking Kristy, but it's like that's not what I'm going for. I'm going for like hunting Kristy, but I need like something. So if anybody out there can think of it, like in my mind, Kristy sits there. I don't know. It's a really funny image I have of you, Kristy. I see you like with your little shovel. You're like digging for the gold in the practices. You're like, I'm gonna find it. It's like sleuth status, Kristy. So if anybody has a great nickname, send it on over. hello@thedentalteam.com. I'm always here for good nicknames. So Kristy will find one for you. Here we go. But Kristy, we've been working on some practices together and just like in general consulting, I think there's some fun things. And right now I think it's like, what do you do when you can't hire team members? I think hiring like hygienists for an office, the hiring climate is really tricky. And I think we've been coming up with some good ideas that might be really fun to dig into if you're down with that today.
Love it. Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, Kristy. So with practices, if I were pretend I'm your office and I'm like, oh, hey, Kristy, I need to hire, but I can't hire. Like, what's step 1, 2, 3? Like, where do we even start to find these people? Because I think this happens in almost every single practice. I've said it before in our company. Like, how do we break beyond that to help offices really find some people? Because you had an office that like could not find anybody, and now they're onboarding 3 people in one moment. Like, it's pretty incredible how we went like the swing and the shift. So how do we get to that other than just having patience through the process?
Yeah. I think there's multi steps to it, but first I think we have to take a look at ourselves and figure out, are we the type of person that likes to train people or not? Right? Because if I truly am not a person that likes even training people, our avenue may look a little bit different than if I really enjoy developing and coaching them up, if you will. So first there's that step, if you will. And then I think the next step, Kiera, is, I get my doctors and teams brainstorming. What attributes are you trying to find within this person? What do they need to possess as a person, personality wise? And what skills are you looking for them to possess?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kristy, I love that you actually brought up, do I want to train and develop somebody? And then who are we looking for? Because I think sometimes people like know thyself and be free, I think is the best way to phrase that. I am someone who we used to try and hire consultants and train them up. And honestly, we did a dang good job. But I got to a level as the company grew where I'm like, we just need people who are already expert consultants that can come in at the level that we need. And so even though I might love to develop people, I think also looking at the size of your practice to see, is this a position that we have the space to grow them? Like if I'm a brand new practice owner, trying to grow and develop an office manager, probably not a great idea. Like that's hard. And that person also, you have to look at too, the ROI of this position that, well, I might not feel like I can afford it. They're actually going to bring money, like a very experienced office manager who knows how to bill, knows how to close cases, even though they're very expensive with air quotes around it because you're brand new, will pay undue dividends. Just like when I remember hiring my first treatment coordinator. I looked at her in the interview and I was like, listen, her name was Kristen. I still remember this. And I'm like, Kristen, I begged our doctor to like stamp off and let me hire you, but you have 3 months to prove yourself. Otherwise I have to fire you. Like I literally can't afford you for 3 months beyond this. So, but you should, I mean, a treatment coordinator should be putting money on our books. Kristen was amazing. She paid for herself 10 times over, but it's that like risk too. So when you look at this of, do we have the time to train them? Do I have the skill set to train them? And is our business like for us, training consultants right now does not make sense. I can't teach a consultant how to run a $6 million business that sells to a DSO and get them trained up to that level of expertise. Like that's something we've outgrown the training space. So now we need to bring in expert consultants that have been there, done that successfully rather than trying to convince them. So I think it was a really solid point you had on that. But Kristy, what happens when you as a consultant know that this doctor could train someone? So for example, like a dental assistant, like we could train them, but the doctor maybe just doesn't want to, but they don't really have the funds to pay for the higher level. Like how, especially like a dental assistant, I'm like, dental assistant's not necessarily going to put money on my books. They might make me move faster if I have a highly trained one. Like that is, it's nice to have. But what do you do on that type of a practice that like you as a consultant are looking at the numbers and like, ugh, maybe we should try to train this person up. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, to back up, I think speaking to what you were talking about is what's the end result we're looking for and within what time frame, right? Because again, realistically, if if we need if we're a startup and we need butts in the chair and we've got to be producing, we don't have time to train someone up, right? And if a doctor isn't really that great at it, we've got to find different solutions for acquiring that person. And I think reaching out to your team members to find their resources, who do they know? Who can we tap in that maybe they know and worked with and has been successful, right? And bring them on. But also, I do believe we have to have a good onboarding process with expectations, what by when, and set them out, not just for the person coming on, but for team members to enroll them in helping them too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kristy, brilliant point on that of like onboarding expectations, what result do we want by when? And I think that also is probably like the pivotal piece when we're looking at this of what is our result? When do we need it by? That way we can see like who should I really hire of all my candidates. And then I loved how you said like, let's figure it out. You and I were in a practice together and we were like, okay, what sets us apart and why should people want to work with us? And then who do we want to hire? And this office, they like run on roller skates. So I'm like, put that in the ad. Say like, we run fast and hard. We don't want people that like, if you don't love spinning around like 50 plates going in the air, this is not the place for you. And it's been crazy because like that really does speak to now the person who wants that is going to come rather than just hoping and praying. But Kristy, what do you do? Like this office, the one I'm thinking of, this doctor, like it just like the cards were falling left and right. Like every time we get on a call, it was another team member was gone. And just so you know, this is not just isolated to this doctor. Kristy and I have seen this over our careers. Like this happens, it just comes in waves. And then we're like, we sit here and giggle empathetically. It's like, oh gosh, like this is just so frustrating. And it's like a giggle of like, I don't know what else to do. I'm either going to cry or I'm going to laugh with you. So like, let's choose to laugh and figure it out. What do you say to those offices? Like when it feels like, okay, I'm putting the ads out. I know who I want. I've got my onboarding expectations, but like I literally can't find anybody. What do you do in that spot? Or like, where should they even go? So first of all, I guess question A is, where should we be posting these ads? What can we be doing to hire? So all of our fishing rods are out there. And then part B will be like, what do we do when all fishing rods are out there, but we're just not getting bites? So where do you recommend fishing rods should go to find people?
Yeah. Well, first off, with your team, who do they know? Who can they reach out to? What are the resources they have? Also, schools in your area, they may have contacts, not necessarily new grads, because this doctor didn't need a new grad for sure, but they might have relationships still with part of their alumni, if you will, and or lists of their names that they could reach out, you could solicit. You just never know. And I don't mean solicit in a bad way, because there could be people that are out there working but aren't happy where they're at and are looking for something a little bit different, or they're happy but want growth opportunities, So again, pull your resources, look at your teammates, and don't think just my assistants. It could be an admin team member. It could be a hygienist that worked with great people before. The other areas, obviously, if I wasn't looking for somebody that was hugely experienced and I had the ability to train, I like looking at restaurant servers, or you find people that have great customer service and are willing to go the extra mile. I love kind of dangling a carrot out there, and not only dangling the carrot, but like promoting them as well. Like, hey, you are a fantastic server. If you know any friends that are just like you, have those qualities, and are looking for a career, I would love, to have you give them my card. And sometimes you'll do that, and they'll look at you and go, "Well, why not me?"
Exactly.
And you just found someone. So those are a couple avenues. I know you have some as well.
Yeah. Chrissy, I love that you talk about that. And I love that you're scrappy like this. And if you hear in Chrissy's voice, Christy loves where she's at. She loves, like, I just feel the love and compassion and just like helping team members feel that. And I think when you can convey that, it really is an easier path to get people to want to work with you. And dentistry is so small. And I feel like we're a nice patchwork quilt where we're all somehow connected. Like we have the oddest family tree where every single person, I mean, Christy and I, Christy's like, "Hey, I met you a few years ago." And I was like, "This is really funny. I literally have an email from you in my inbox, but yet our worlds came back around a few years later." So just remembering like we all, and once you start brainstorming with your team, people are usually like, "Oh my gosh, I know this person," or "Hey, I live next door to a hygienist. Let me ask them," or "Hey, what about this person?" And so I agree, Christy, like the power of networking. And like, I remember I was in a drive through and there was this girl who was like, amazing at customer service. It was at a fast food restaurant drive through and I just handed my business card to her and was like, "Girl, you're incredible. Like if you're ever looking for something or know someone who's just like you, have them call us." And this girl did call me. Like it's wild. Shelby, who if you've met her in our company, literally my next door neighbor, she wanted my plants. I knocked on her door. So look and hunt for good people all the time and always, always, always be on the hunt. I think let's not get ourselves into these pickles where we need people, but let's always be recruiting, always be looking for great people. And then, of course, I'm here for like writing really awesome ads. So we love using a company called Ava HR. We have a promotional code through Dental Team. I've negotiated down to get you the best pricing, but you can post one ad and it will like, you can post however many ads you want and it's just one monthly fee. So I'm really big also though of like, this is where I put my fishing bait. I'm out there putting like a bunch of different titles to see who's applying to my different ads based on the title. Because just like podcast episodes, it's interesting. Shelby and I went and pulled like the most downloaded ones, and it does not matter the content, it matters the title. And so same thing with your ads. Like, yes, that's going to attract somebody. So put really awesome titles and see like we have tried different ones to pull in consultants. And the one that works best is usually like a regional manager or a consultant like looking for something different. That one tends to pull me my best candidates, but I've tried office manager, I've tried treatment coordinator, I've tried like, but until you know a bait works in your area, you've got to try them out. So that's why I really love that. Talk to your reps. Reps are connected. Doctors talk to people on the golf course. Like it's shocking how many dentists have come from golf course conversations that I've seen looking in your area. And just like you said, service industry, some of my absolute best office managers are bankers. So they're coming from banking. And some of our best schedulers actually came from like tanning salons or hair salons that were super busy. Lots of high end customer service, moving really quickly. But those are some of the best places. So I think like get your fishing poles out there, start looking, and then like don't stop. Don't just like throw the fishing pole out there and hope and pray that the bait stays. Watch it, constantly update it, stay top of mind with people, because just because you had a conversation with your team today doesn't mean they remember in a week from now. So making sure it's like top of mind, this is who we're looking for. If you know anybody, you see anybody, and it's crazy because all of a sudden like little bubbles just show up in your world and people show up. So I think brilliant ideas on that, Christy. So then part two of that question was what happens? Like, I honestly think it's just patience. So it's okay to just say patience. Like people want immediate results. And so what do we do in that interim when it feels like we're getting no bites? We're doing everything. We're talking to people. Well, it's because your pipeline wasn't built. So just once you hire people, don't stop doing all these things you were doing to find people. So like, we'll just put that plug in there. But what do you do? What do you tell clients when they just feel like they cannot find anybody? So they're getting desperate. They're getting snootier. Like, sorry, doctors, you do get grumpy when you don't have team members. I do too. So it's not just you. I do too. What do you do to keep their mindset, or what can they do to bridge that gap that you've seen work really well for your practices?
Yeah, two things, and I had a tie-in to the last thing we were talking about. One other avenue that has
Oh, yeah.
worked really well for us. Doctors also kind of dig their heels in and resist, but make a video.
Oh
Doctor,
my God.
make a
Yes.
video, right? And if you guys have local Facebook groups that are for dental, post the videos on there. Have the doctor speaking with, hey, if you like this, come work with me. Come work with my team. We want you. We've seen it work.
We have seen it work. And Kristy, great job on that. And doctor's like, but I'm not like out there. Like, I don't like to put myself out there. I'm like, good. Post just that. Like, who you are is going to attract the person that you want. And notice this, even Kristy and I on this rift, like we podcasting right now, we work together with offices. Even right here, we're spurring different ideas, talking to each other. And this is what happens in your team. It's like popcorn. So it's like, what idea could we have here? Oh my gosh, that's going to lead to this idea. Oh, wait, what about this? Oh my gosh, what if we did this? Like hygienists, I have an office and they literally do CE for hygienists in their area. You could do CE for doctors in your area. And then at the end, you just say like, hey, we're always looking for hygienists. If you know anyone that like would love to be a part of what we're doing, we'd love to meet them. That office literally gets like 3 or 4 hygienist resumes at the end of every one of their CE conferences because people want to be with them. So it's again like, where are these people? How can we attract them? But right here, Kristy and I were like, cool, we got that. And then we're like, oh, wait, this is another idea. Oh, wait, what about this? So just realize like once you start brainstorming, more ideas come from you. And I think let's ask better questions. Questions of like, where do these people hang out? Where does my avatar hang out? Where's like another cabbage patch I could go find that maybe we haven't thought of that might be like out of the box thinking? Where is this profile, like personality type, not profiling, but personality type? Where does this person hang out? Where do they like to be? Where can we go for this? That's what I'm going to start to like think about. That's where the brainstorming happens. And this is where I feel like you are able to win when other people are just posting an Indeed ad and walking away. You're literally got like 10 fishing lines out there. Other ways you can do it that way too. So kudos on the brainstorm session, Kristy. I love it.
Sounds good. And to your point, if they're not finding who they want, I like to redirect them and focus on what can we do right now while we're looking for this person. And like you said, continuously looking. But think about the tools you have within your practice. Like, could we use Mr. Thirsty and maybe not have to have the extra set of hands right now? Or, there's just so many different solutions. Is there a hygienist maybe that would be willing to come work as an assistant? Or, we've got very creative.
Yeah. And Kristy, when you said that, like, I think it's important not to say no. Right? It's very easy to give that pushback, like, no, I don't want to do this. I understand, and Kristy understands that you want the most perfect person to land in your lap. Well, guess what? You still have to do dentistry, and we still have to get through this until that perfect person shows up. And also, I think, Kristy, like, we can use a Mr. Thirsty. We could use a hygienist. We could have someone flex up front. Like, whatever it is, what that also does is it buys you time so you don't make a desperate hire. And I think that's one of the biggest pieces we're trying to help you see is then you buy yourself some time. I know you and I were talking to an office and you brought up the great idea of virtual assistants. Like virtual assistants, they're not long-term. They can be long-term. They can bridge gaps. They could answer phones. They could do billing for you, things that you could outsource that maybe then would like alleviate the load. We had an office manager and you and I were like, all right, well, why don't we have a virtual assistant do all these pieces for you while we're waiting for your front office team member? I thought it was one of the most brilliant, like kudos to us. Like, let's just like brush our shoulders off here. But that's like where I think a consultant and a guide can help you see. But I think you also have to realize like you're in a pickle right now. So let's get out of that pickle and make it to where we can be more creative. Any other thoughts you have on that, Kristy?
No, I agree with you. I think because even when we're talking virtual assistant, one of our teammates had a virtual assistant. Literally, they had no admin team member, and that person was sitting on a screen greeting people when they walk in. And when we mentioned that, the team's eyes were like, "What?" I'm not gonna lie, I kind of was like mind blown too. But think about it, that is still better than having to put a sign up and say hold because there's nobody here to greet you. At least they have a live person. It might be on a screen, not in flesh, but they're there and acknowledging them and greeting them. So truly getting resourceful, if we will, and like you said, thinking outside the box. And it doesn't have to be a long-term solution. It's an until solution. So.
And I love that you said it's an until solution because when we have that, like it's so brilliant because now what I love is this then opens up your, I'd say, like, treasure box of options that you have for the future. Like, great, I know I could do a VA. Great, I know I could do a billing outsource. Great, I know I could do a Mr. Thirsty. Like, it's not optimal, but then also what this does is you're no longer handcuffed and shackled to team members being there, because team members will come and go forever. That is the reality of owning a business. We hope and pray they'll stay with us forever, but guess what? Like, that's just not the reality of life. And that's also not the flavor of business either. And so with that, I think it teaches you resourcefulness. It teaches you what things you can do. It's kind of like, I always say, man, if I have to, I know I can scrap down to top ramen, and like I can live so cheap because I did it before. And I think this just allows you to have that flexibility and creativity. And I think what I would like people to know, and I know Kristy's on the exact same page, is making sure we use this resourcefulness so we don't accidentally desperate hire. Like, truly, it can be so tempting to just hire someone to make the pain go away, but it's choose your heart. Is it harder to like deal with this resourcefulness? And like, agreed. When I heard about that person on the screen, I was like, you know what? But hey, it's 2025. Everybody's on virtual. Like, it's not that weird for people to have like maybe a little off, but I mean, Kristy and I hang out on virtual all day long. I don't see a single team member 90% of the days that I work. That it's not as weird as we might think it is. But I think what it does is it forces the discipline so that way you can truly wait for your ideal hire rather than being desperate, hiring somebody, having to terminate them, or they're not the right fit. I think it just allows you almost like a longer rope before you're like at the end of your rope as well. So I think it was brilliant, Kristy. Great ideas on that.
Thank you.
Of course. So with that, I think that's kind of our wrap for you guys of what do I do? How can we get this? If we can't hire, maybe helping you think of outside the box. How can we bring these people in? What do we need to do as far as looking at our practice, looking at what we want to bring into our practice, getting resourceful on where we put our fishing rods, and then how can we like do this like beginning and ending to make sure that we're really in the right spot for this practice. So Kristy, love consulting with you. I love what you do for our clients. I love that you bring so much positive energy. I love that you think outside the box. And I think that that's why you can like, this is why I think you find money in practices, because you're like, all right, it's not on this avenue. It's going to be over on this avenue. If it's not on this avenue, it'll be over here. But I think that same resourcefulness goes into how you consult. And I just want to say kudos to you and appreciation for being on the podcast and also serving so many of our clients as well.
It's an honor. Thank you.
Of course. All right. For all of you listening, if you're struggling with hiring, or you're struggling with motivation, or you're struggling with all the things that business owners deal with, reach out. hello@thedonlineteam.com, or go click on schedule a call. The call is so fun. We literally show you gaps in your practice, things that you're doing really well, and make it to where you can truly sleep better at night. And if we can help you, amazing. We'd love to help you. Otherwise, just come like figure out where your blind spots are. But reach out. hello@thedonlineteam.com. And as always, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time on the Deadline Team Podcast.